right, mics should be unmuted. I can hear myself. We're recording. We are on live stream. We're ready to go.
Ready to go. All right. Good evening, everyone who's here and everyone who's going to be watching this maybe after it's been recorded. This is July 1st, 2026, open space regular meeting.
All right, so I will call the roll call. Oh, there we go. That's behind. All right, Chair Pasquarelli,
Here.
Member Chen,
Here.
Member Conway is excused.
Yep.
Member Del Buono is excused. Member Huel, I don't think he's currently online right now, but Member Budraco?
Here.
Member Gonzalez?
Here.
All right, we have 4. We have a quorum.
Great. Thank you for being here. So with regards to the agenda? this
Yep,
is
so no changes to the agenda.
Okay. Do we have any members of the public here?
If there is anyone online, please raise your hand. For some reason, Zoom changed their controls around again.
I don't see anybody.
All right, there we go. Now I can get participants. Let's see, I do not see any attendees online, so no comment.
Okay. All right, approval of the minutes that were attached from April 1st. Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. They looked great. New business. So this is our meeting topic. Inventory of town-owned open space parcels and analysis of status.
Okay, she left one of the old ones up there, but okay, there was only item B for that one, which is now item A. So tonight we have Charlie Nevers here, who will actually be taking over the open space committee from going forward. And he's worked with Monique in together on another ArcGIS type of project. I can have him take over and eventually start sharing and kind of going through, because this will be kind of your show.
Yeah.
Because you two have created another wonderful thing for us to use for the town. And I'm glad we have these capabilities. But it kind of goes, there's 2 kind of parts of this. I think it's the inventory of the open space itself. And then there's some more to talk about the parcels. So the first part, it's a little bit of a change from this, but I think it's a very positive one of this. What I would see is, again, rough. It's not ready for public, public link yet, but this is to highlight our existing open space and to really show, okay, it's kind of the updates. It was talked about the last meeting, we used to have the maps. What did we have out there? This is a new generation version of that. And I think does a lot more to show what's there and that we can build on. Again, I think the goal would be any future open space acquisition. This is what you'd be putting the link into any organization saying, see, this is what we're trying to build on. And there are some unique capabilities of this as well, including capabilities of the public to kind of provide some response back or some information about these open spaces. Again, it'll be interesting to see how the moderation goes of that. It'll come through the town, but I think at this point, if you are ready, you can bring something up and take over.
I'll move up there with you if you want to present together. Does that work for you? Can I share my screen, Paul?
Yep.
Cool. So I'll go up there with Monique. Okay. So I kind of took the feedback from last time. There was kind of 2 parts of it that I heard you guys say, which was you wanted to engage the public, right? And we wanted to advertise our open space, for lack of a better phrase. And you also wanted a sort of like inventory. We want to see, what do we have? How is it connected? Where are the connections lacking? And then kind of move from there. So obviously I had to get Monique involved because she's just a wizard with this stuff and I'm not quite as savvy as she is. So we've worked really diligently together. Got to give her a ton of credit for putting all of this together. And we've sort of created this, what we've called the Discover Newington's Open Space. This is what's called a story map. I'm sure the council is familiar. I think you presented, have you presented?
Story map's new.
Story map's new.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
I
the
think.
police thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
The police thing, and then we use the story map, a very intro story map.
For the TPZ.
For the TPZ for the special session,
That's
Public Act housing.
So story map is essentially, and jump in if I start to butcher, but like an
Yeah.
interactive website, essentially. Is that a good way to
Yeah,
describe?
so it's like a brochure, like a pamphlet that you can scroll through with interactive components. I guess one other thing on top of that is in the past, I had also watched what you guys had said last time about like the static maps that we used to have. This also includes and links a lot of the resources that I pulled from different places on the website because unfortunately we do the best of our ability to advertise all of this stuff, but sometimes it's hidden in different places. So this is kind of like a culmination, a hub site of these different resources in one, I would say.
Yeah. And so my intent with us kind of presenting this is to give you, this is a very, very rough draft. This is not publicized yet. This is the direction that we're moving. Where do you want to steer us? Is this a direction that you like? Is there something we can add?
Mhm.
And then we also have some data that her and I just spoke about this afternoon that we can give you a little bit too, which is more on the like analysis side of it. But this is more the public consumption and the inventory. So I will go ahead and kind of scroll through this. We start on this beautiful cover page. And this was the drone footage. This is Deming Young, right?
Yes, Deming Young Farm,
So Monique worked with the fire marshal's office,
Yeah.
correct? And got some drone footage for this. And her and I also went out and spent a day at our parks and took some photos for this as well. So this is what it would look like for the public. So you would kind of open it up. It would tell you where you're at. We have a little bit of information about open space in Newington. Again, all of this is customizable. This is stuff that Monique threw in there. I threw a little bit in there. Placeholders, right? We want to know what you want us to say, how much or how little information you're looking for this. This is a really cool slide over here where we show Deming Young Farm in the winter and in the beautiful summer.
That is cool.
Right?
It's such a great place.
It is. It's a wonderful place to be. Again, we can add captions. We can make it as interactive as possible. I don't know what you're seeing. Okay, my head's in the way a little bit there, but this has an area. What was this map again?
this is a historic map. This is just another little widget that we could do as an example of something interactive, but to show.
So this is that
Historical.
static historical map, and then when you click it, it'll overlay with the open space that we have today. So that's just a little ode to kind of how we've grown or how we've changed over time. And as you can see, it kind of moves with you, which is really nice and interactive for the public. This jumps us to the trails. So this is, again, she mentioned those kind of static resources that we have. You can click that and it'll open up a PDF of that static resource.
So all the trails in Newington are listed on there, is that?
Yeah, so this is anything publicized on our website is stuff that's on town-owned property and like town maintained. So
Yeah.
there might be other trails that Newington residents use, but we can't, advertise. So this is recognized, talk to Parks and Grounds. These are the ones that they recognize as Newington trails.
That's great.
And so as you continue to scroll through, it'll bring you in even closer and show you an actual map of the trail. And Monique has gone in and thrown in some information about it. Again, this is super customizable. You guys like this amount of information, great. If not, we can pull a little bit, we can add other things. These are one of the photos that we took while we were out and doing our little field work day. And it'll be the same for all the trails. So this is the Bob Stanley Nature Trail that we went through. It gives you a little bit of information about how long it is, the elevation, all of that. Shout out to Monique for that. Cedar Mountain, again, same thing. So we can throw in as many of these as we have. We can highlight different areas. This is that trail that a lot of us are familiar with. We're from here, that connects you from behind the senior center over to that neighborhood over there. I grew up right in that neighborhood, so I knew about it.
And then to the high school going
And then you
that
can go
way.
up to the high school. Yeah, of course, anyone who went to Newington High cut through that trail to get
Yeah.
anywhere in town afterwards. So that's that trail.
It has a name.
I named it.
We always
because-
called it the path.
Yes,
Oh.
that was that's kind of like the Newington name is the
The
path.
I was trying to look for an official name and then I saw that Mill Brook goes past there. So I was
Well,
like, let's just call it.
Why
So
not?
that's one of
I
those
like that
things
better
where-
too, but
Whatever you guys want to call it, it doesn't
Then
have a
we
name
can
yet.
change
We called it
all
the
of it.
path. That's where we
Millbrook
met
Path.
up for the extravaganza. We would meet up at the path, you know? Mill Pond Trail, of course. And then this is so these are the two guides. This is what Ariel's and the park guide.
Yeah. The PDF maps.
Yep. So again, this is another cool, so this we bumped to Churchill. I don't know if you want to go over this part a little bit or.
Yeah, so this is very similar to the trail section is just divided into trails and then parks.
Mhm.
Once again, I know we've repeated this multiple times, but we can change the organization if it's not intuitive. So this is kind of just like a little walkthrough brochure. The first, we have to go out and get more drone footage, but the first slide on here will be the video, aerial drone footage, and then it'll go through some professional photos, some taken with the drone, some not, to kind of advertise these facilities. And then on each one, there's also going to be a PDF park map of that individual park. It just shows the amenities and then aerial imagery of the same thing. So as much information as possible. This is kind of like a map tour. So I think our heads are, oh, it's not. So yeah, it'll scroll through here and you can see the locations of each one. We can add addresses to here to make it more accessible. And then this will just go through each neighborhood park. Once again, we have to add more media, but we tried to cover all of them. There are some on here that I would appreciate feedback on if you guys think that we should include or not. One example is, I'm going kind of fast, but there's a lot here. Scroll to the bottom. So an example like Badger Field, where it's really just a little league field and the gates are locked outside of hours. It's one of those things that should we include it, should we not? But this is all of the open space that the town maintains as far as parks go.
If it's zoned as open space.
Is Badger Field on,
Is it Audubon's on
It's off of
Audubon? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a little bit south from here.
Yeah, because if somebody's looking it up and wants to, know where the field is, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe, there can be like, for the parks and fields, maybe there can be some bullets that will give an overview of like what they're good for.
Yeah.
Like something that's like.
Like
if
it's
you're-
not open all the time. It's only.
Yeah,
Is that this is
or-
only open during
I
games?
don't know
Is
what I'm
that?
thinking of, like.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
I don't know, dogs allowed or dogs not allowed or something like that. I mean, because I know that people bring dogs to
Everywhere.
Yeah, it's like.
Young Farm.
We can definitely come up with different icons or symbols that indicate like this is great for
Yeah.
toddlers, or this is great for
Yeah.
dogs.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
this
yeah.
is great for playing
Dog
ball.
friendly and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yep.
sort of
You
those sort of
know,
things. Yep.
Yeah.
Access by walking or parking.
ADA accessible.
The
Yeah.
more information about the
Parking.
amenities.
Yeah,
at each-
Yeah, like what you would, if you were thinking
What to
about it.
expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. I included some here, but again, we have to add this text. All of these PDFs, if I'll just open one as an
Mhm.
example. So they'll list all the amenities and then the hours, the address.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
So
Photos
we
like
can
that
pull from that.
and
just place
advertise
there.
it on there. Another resource that I linked right here is back in the fall, I had made this Park Finder app. Again, it was kind of buried in the IT, so not a lot of people knew about it, but it's very similar to the
Oh,
police
wow.
portal that I shared. And so
Cool.
if someone was looking for example, they wanted to play baseball,
Cool.
it'll filter all of the parks and you can click on each one. For example, pickleball is a big one.
How would somebody find this?
This was on the IT and the GIS page. So under GIS, we have a list of interactive apps, things like the reval portal, the police portal. This was one of those ones that I just kind of snuck in there and I did as a side project, but it wasn't really well advertised. But then when you go
That's really cool.
into each one of these, you can click and it'll go side by side through down to parking, where to park.
Great.
And it'll give you a little tour of each one if it's a little messed up on this resolution, but it'll go through each of the amenities. So we can pull information from here and kind of put it on that brochure, but this is also linked within the open spaces, our Park Finder app for the town. And then, I don't know if you want to keep.
I think this is a part that at least Monique and I were super excited about. So really want to hear your feedback about this, but she knew in her GIS brain of a way to kind of gather surveys almost from the public. So if you were to go on the path and you love hanging out there after high school, you can take a picture and it will be fed through the town. So it's not like you can just.
So
sort
you
of-
monitor it and then
Correct.
approve
Yeah,
it
You would
to be
approve any
posted.
of the postings that were
Mhm.
made, but you can kind of pin where you are,
Fun.
and put a little description.
Love that.
Yeah, so it's like a little interactive survey. So we can customize any of these questions, literally anything down to the map if we want open-ended specific choices. So just as a placeholder, I put where's your favorite spot? There's a drop down of which park maybe, but you can also add if you're at an additional place, when you're visiting, tell us a little bit about. And then this is the upload the photo. And so I did an example. So we'll have that survey piece. And then in order for you to interact with different community spots, maybe if there's not something that we're advertising, but like you guys said, that's kind of a hidden gem in Newington, it'll then go to populate this embedded dashboard. So I did an example at Mill Pond Park. So right here, you'll see all of the community entries that we approve, and then you can click on it and you can see what I said about Mill Pond Park and the photo I took. So you can kind of bounce around town. And eventually the hope is that we'll have all these little points of people interacting with this. And this can take on many forms too. I included this down here as another way that we could advertise it if we like this better, where there's just photos of the entries and you can click on these and go to these. So a bunch of different ways that we can do this. And then just some links and credits at the end, but.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, really cool.
When do you anticipate, like, you said this is sort of a draft, when do you kind of anticipate it being?
We can, as soon as a couple weeks to whenever it's really
I'd
about.
like to, I mean, if you could present this to the council, and
Sure.
that way we can get some,
Feedback, maybe?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that our intent with this being a draft was to get your
Your
feedback, because this
feedback,
was kind
yeah.
of launched by the open space committee. This
It's
was-
amazing.
This is your project on staff behalf, so however you want us to run with this, we're happy to
can do
run in whatever
anything.
direction. If you wanna keep it as is, we'll add those icons and then maybe we'll go to council, get some public feedback on it, and then we'll move from there.
I think that's great.
Do you have anything that you would want to see them include or?
I think the icons are a really good idea, you know, like if it's dog friendly or if it's handicap accessible, you know, that kind of stuff. I'm not sure was that on there or not?
In the Park Finder app it is, but again, we can pull that information. And put it
Okay.
in there.
picnicking, you know.
I was gonna ask,
Okay, so like seating,
Yeah,
Picnic
it-
tables or.
Yep.
at Church Hill, I know you have to rent like that stuff, the pavilion and stuff. Is any of that mentioned like in there as options or how does that work?
I think we could do an ode to
I
the
don't know if
Parks
we
and
need
Rec
to. I was just
department.
wondering.
Well, that's good to have there so
Yeah.
people know. I
People
mean,
know it's
I mean,
available to
I
rent
don't- I
and
don't-
then you could direct them to
Yeah,
what Park and
We
Rec,
could just
right?
have an
That's-
icon of rentals available,
Mhm.
you know, and we can link to Parks and Rec or however.
Yeah, I think that would.
I mean, I think the
probably
more
be-
you give,
Yeah.
the better, not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but if it's, you know, if it's an important feature of that area.
Which it
put
is. There's
in.
three, right? There's three
Gazebos. or-
gazebos.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, you know, with grills, so that would be probably a nice.
That's probably a good one to shout out to, where there are grills in town and places to cook out and such.
I
yeah.
don't know if there's a
I think
ton of
that
them.
might be,
Churchill might be.
Churchill might be the,
Seymour Park, or what's the one on Seymour
Yeah.
Park, that one has. a
Oh,
grill.
see, that would be good to put up on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
it.
they
that
just
was-
even have picnic tables, I mean, so people can bring their own stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had, when I did this project originally in the fall, I had gone down the whole rabbit hole. And again, we don't advertise a lot of these things well, but like we have like a cornhole league that meets at these different parks. We have rentable fields. There's different fees, different forms that we can all link in here too. So there's a lot of.
That would be more, I think, appropriate as a link, because that's kind of controlled by
Yeah.
Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
I think this is a good way to engage the community though, where someone who's on that league can use this survey,
Without a doubt.
ping it and say, hey, this is
Yeah.
where I play whatever on
Yep.
this league. Go check them out. And then that's a good way to kind of circulate
Yeah.
recreational use of our open space.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
Great. We can,
Awesome job, you guys.
we can implement those changes and then we can figure out when we'll go in front of council and get some feedback there, see what the public has to say about it.
Yeah, my favorite part is tagging and being, you know, for the public to be able to say, hey, I'm here and, you know, have it
Yeah.
pop up and stuff. That could be
I saw a beaver.
something
Yeah,
fun
right.
too. you
That's
know,
all we're
maybe.
gonna get is the different animals. I saw, but that's so cool
We
to show
could run
different
with like,
places.
almost like contest type of stuff, like who's goes to the most spots, or I don't know, think of something to entice people to.
Little
Well, this-
scavenger
all
hunts. of,
over.
But this is sort of how we've talked about somebody doing a natural resource inventory.
Mhm.
If somebody's geeky on, you know, I don't know, trees, they can be like, wow, there's like a crab apple growing over here, you know, and I mean, why not? Like,
Yeah,
that's, you know, people, I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's,
I joined a birding group recently
Oh.
and I think this would be awesome to kind of, you know, mention like certain birds are in certain areas and stuff like that. I think that's,
Yeah, especially if someone is, you know, a birder and spots a rare one on
Yeah,
something like
birder,
that, boom, added on there, and then all of a sudden they're just out there and
Yep.
it's just
Yeah.
information.
And like Moni said, we can customize the questions in whatever form we want to ask as much or as little as we want.
yeah.
So,
be good to, I think, I don't remember, because we would through it kind of quickly,
Mhm.
but if you have if you can ask people what their hobbies are, maybe.
Yeah, is there-
Because
do we have
that
a
maybe,
comment
that
section
would
now?
also help people identify, is this spot good for birding or is this spot good for just,
We can essentially make it say anything.
Yeah, like
So
more vague.
Cool.
you
Can
could
you-
even have it much more open-ended.
Can you
wording.
send this to us or not yet?
Yeah, I
Like,
could,
we can go through it and maybe think about,
yeah,
like,
we
go
can just
through it
make
and see if there's
unlisted
anything
and they can-
or no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
definitely do
Yeah.
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
it's out there. There's nobody knows where it is. It's
I
it's
don't
great.
want to open this up to like, unfortunately, the complainers in town, but, no, but it would be, because a lot of times people, will, contact me or saying, if there was a place to comment, like, gee, there's trash here, or there's,
Well, it's interactive, right? They
Yeah,
can,
but there's, a specific place, any, comments or suggestions or something.
I think the one thing I would see with that is that it would likely be one of us filtering these
Yeah.
comments, and we're not
Mm.
in a department that would inherently
mm,
be taking on those comments. We could,
But you-
if we
you would
wanted
know
an
where to put it.
interdepartmental communication,
Maybe there
Yeah,
can be a
what about a
link,
link?
maybe there could be a link somewhere
we
saying.
could link to the appropriate departments that
yeah,
the comment should be
yeah,
received.
Yeah, if you have
Yeah,
any
for sure.
concerns about something,
Just comments or concerns.
Because we'd want to
Yeah.
hear the public comment, but
Or
also,
suggestions.
who would that go to? That would go to the parks.
Parks and
Yeah.
Parks and
Right.
Grounds, yeah.
Or Eric.
so we'd want to
Yeah.
connect, I think, with parks and figure out how they would want to channel that sort of feedback and
Mhm.
such.
I think that's a good idea.
So we're not inundated with, good, but a lot of requests.
Yeah, we don't
for-
want it to be about that.
Correct,
so much.
right.
But we do want to hear, people's comments.
Or if someone wishes there was a bench at this one park that doesn't have a bench, that would be great to know.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other feedback, any other directions or
Is
anything?
it continuously scrolling website?
Yes.
Yeah, essentially. And
Yeah.
it is very mobile friendly too. Like we tested on iPads and this is specifically meant to be able to fit different screen sizes as well.
Oh,
So it
that's
should
good.
be accessible.
So it will give you sort of, I'll kind of scroll through, but it will stop in certain places and scroll the sidebar.
Map right there is like, to me, very distressing, because it shows you the whole town and those few tiny places that are open space. I mean, it really is. a good
It
visual.
communicates something, and maybe it needs to, and maybe it needs to
Yeah.
communicate the lack of open space, if that's your interpretation of it.
And in all
Or
fairness, this is one quadrant. I couldn't get the whole thing in there. So there is more than this, but just to provide a visual.
Yeah.
that gives a visual to people who aren't aware of where the open space is,
Mhm.
or how
And
much
how
of it we
little
have,
of it.
or how little, if that's your.
Yeah.
And then the trails is a super cool thing. Again, I'll just scroll through this really quickly, but it pulls you into it. It gives you, this is where we can put some of those little icons, right? If there's a really popular dog spot, or maybe there's, dog trash cleanup bags there, we can put an ode to that in
Oh,
here.
that's really good.
Do you have the dog park there? I didn't see it, I don't think.
I don't think it's on there.
No,
I don't think,
I didn't know we had a dog.
yes, it's right over there. I would have to
It's-
look into the dog park. I don't think.
It's
we-
on leased land, but it's Hartford Healthcare.
Correct.
Yeah,
That
it's
was
hard for
why-
healthcare
Oh,
property,
right,
so that's
that
probably why it
makes
didn't show up on
sense.
your initial
Right.
parameters of
Yeah.
not
Because they're
town
just letting us
owned.
use it.
Yeah,
It's not ours.
and we're trying to make sure that we advertise things that are maintained, that we could clean up if there was something, like you were mentioning, where people might have commentary.
Who maintained
No,
that?
That's
yeah,
what
but
we
the-
kept it
the-
to.
Yeah, I would say adding the dog park would be
Yeah,
a good
that
thing
should
on that
show
one.
there.
It's again, it's
Put it on the list,
slightly
get some
outside the
pictures.
parameters, but it is, again,
It's somewhere we
maintained by the
maintain.
town.
Right.
Sure. And then this is also something that it's a living website, right? So we can go in
We
at
can
any
change.
time, and in the winter, if a trail is not accessible anymore and the Parks Department doesn't maintain it during the winter, we can go in there and put not maintained during the winter.
Oh, that's
right? For
good.
for winter recreation only, like the path, right?
Mhm.
If that's not plowed in the winter, we can put an ode to that. Or anything else. So, yeah.
I mean, there are, it's not maintained by the town, but I know, it runs through town. It's along the busway, the bike
fast
path
track.
and the bike path. and the
Yeah,
walking trail.
Yep, yeah, the fast track, multi-use
multi-use
trail.
trail.
Multi-use
Yeah.
trail.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is, I don't know, think about it maybe.
Well, yeah, and these are things we wanted to hear about. We went very basic, and then what do you want us to build on? So dog park, the multi-use fast track trail, any other spots that you can think of, feel free to send out, and then we can continue to kind of add and play.
And if any of these can connect, like I always think, because I live by the path,
Yep.
I always think that, a nice walk is, you can come into town, you can go around the pond, you can cross Cedar Street, look both
Mhm.
ways.
And again,
Right.
And then you could go up to the path. So if we
Yeah.
could, and this isn't, Rome wasn't built in a day, so we could do some of this stuff later, but the idea of maybe trying to connect.
And we could use this as a community engagement opportunity where if that's a walk that you enjoy taking, we can do a walk audit and go out there and experience it together. We can track it on Garmin and we can plug it into here and say, this is,
Yeah.
A route.
so-and-so's route, favorite route. Like, have you ever taken this route? That's another
Oh,
way
that's
that we
nice.
can,
Yeah.
throw that in here too, and, get some involvement. We could do a tour of the open space and go walking and visit these parcels and then throw it on here with the
I like
community,
that.
so.
Is Cedar
that's cool.
Mountain open all year? Like is the, oh, yeah.
If you can
all
get up
year?
there, I mean.
If you can get up there.
If you wanna brave it up there all year, yeah.
Yeah, and again, in those, that Garmin route on that one, that can be very easily publicized and picked up by All Trails, picked up by something like that. Someone who just has a smartwatch in town or their phone who was just looking through there, all of a sudden they could have this route showing up that people don't normally use or think of.
Yeah, that's really
Very
neat.
cool.
Yeah, like a locals only kind of route.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Love it.
Great.
Sounds like a great spot. I think we got our.
Any other
head in check.
questions or feedback or
I have two.
discussion?
Yeah, yeah.
So up until recently, I worked in IT. So part of me, I always think about it in a way when scrolling websites, thinking about how long it'll take somebody to scroll through the whole thing.
Mhm.
I feel like with scrolling through all of the parks and all of the trails and everything else might take somebody too long that they'll give up halfway through. So I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but
Never thought of it.
what if we split it up a little bit where it's 3 different and they could be continuously scrolling on those specific, like a trail, parks, whatever else?
Yeah,
I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody else has.
Yeah.
any.
So
So,
the world's kind of your oyster with this, within the constraints of the software that we have available
That
to
makes
us.
sense. I
but
didn't even, I wouldn't have even really thought about.
We can
that.
also,
The
we can
scrolling motion, a lot of people,
reconfigure,
They just stop
They stop.
at some point?
Yeah.
we can move the layout too, right? Like if we're worried about maybe the portion at the end not being seen because someone gets tired, we can throw that to the top. Or we can remove some of the scrolling and have it be a little more static. This is more your area of expertise, so.
Yeah. So there's multiple things that we can do. As Charlie mentioned, we can kind of put that around. We can also create it. The idea of a story map is kind of to be that one stop shop for like a brochure, but alternatively, if we did wanted to break it up, I could create like a homepage on a website and then go, okay, parks, click on this button, and then just have parks, and then trails, just click on this button. If we wanted to actually like dive deeper and create this huge thing out of that. Yeah, or alternatively, I could configure it so that instead of scrolling through each park, it's just like a slideshow where I can click a button through it. That might get a little bit more complicated because then we have the additional flipping through photos within the flipping through
Right.
parks type thing.
Yeah.
So it's really just a matter of brainstorming. We can also try out a few different layouts and then send them to you guys and see what's more intuitive and.
Yeah.
Monique, the one thing, very similar to what you did on the special session public act where you have a header
Yeah.
and the header can easily reference you. So it's the full thing, so without breaking it.
Oh, you're right. Yep.
So you would
Yeah,
have it,
yeah.
so if you
Yeah.
glance on this,
Section,
so, if, oh, I'm only interested, okay, no, I don't understand, I wanna go to the parks, you click that, it just brings you
Yeah.
right to that.
That's
And that
nice.
header
That
can say
sounds nice.
static, or
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
gone down, oh no, I wanna go back to the top, you just click it, that.
Table of contents. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just that interactive where it doesn't take up too much space, but you did that very well in the special session
Yeah, that
public
is
act,
true, I
cause that was,
forgot.
that was dense.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you
yeah.
needed that to get through it.
Yeah.
How many fields do we have?
Define field.
Like sections.
No like ball
Ball
fields.
fields.
Oh,
Jump ball field.
Like a
Like a
defined,
baseball diamond?
yeah,
a lot.
a lot.
You mean like individual? I would say over.
Or at how many parks are there
Well,
baseball
I guess
diamonds?
we wouldn't put like the high school baseball field if there was one. Sorry, I don't know, my kids didn't go to high school here, but if it's like it's not something you want people to go to, you wouldn't, because it's being used by the high school, but like there's that little ball field that's on Cedar Street. And I don't know.
Correct,
Is
yeah.
that's in there?
Mary Wells Park.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so maybe if it makes sense to separate out another category of
Like dividing up the types of recreation
like
almost?
recreational fields versus parks. Like I would never go to a field. Like,
Right.
so maybe I just want to skip over the fields. I don't have
Mhm.
kids.
But I think the way you said, right?
Yeah.
If you can
Yes.
see
Table
what
of
you
contents.
want and then you
Yep.
click and it
Yeah.
You,
goes
you
to
could
it.
you could even do something where it starts off with open space and hikes, and it just depends how you wanna customize it, and then the
Yeah.
fields is if you choose to click on it, then it expands or it stays
Mm.
contracted. You can kind of experiment with that.
It just depends how specific you want us to get, and we're happy
Let's
to
look
to
at
go
it,
in either
let's play with
direction.
it
Yeah.
and see, like, cause I'm sure we're gonna be like, oh, wait a minute, let's,
Yeah.
this,
Yeah, you
this,
could go- you
this,
could
so
go- you could really get it, get into
Yeah.
a lot of,
let's give it a whirl and see what we
yeah,
think.
but just right now.
Oh, I was gonna say, my other thing
Mhm.
was I love the GIS app that you were talking about at the very end. I was wondering if we could make that a little bigger, because
Oh, yeah,
the thing at the very end.
oh, the linked,
yeah.
or
when
like
you
the
linked.
embedded, oh,
Yeah. I think it was great. I think,
like this thing or the, oh,
no, keep going, I think keep going down. It was like the link that.
oh,
went
okay, yeah, I
to
know what you're
the
talking about.
other
This
thing.
right here.
That right there, I think it's just too small and like, I think that's a really great resource, and if people will just look right
Yeah,
over it.
you always want people to download.
Or
your
maybe a
app.
different color.
Yeah,
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 like,
no,
I don't know,
we
different,
can
like,
definitely make it
different
bigger.
font
Do we,
size
does
and
it
then
have a logo? Maybe it could be like a logo.
Yeah, we can do anything. We can
Like
link to an image, we can embed it, we can do anything. And that kind of goes along, just to touch on the question that you had too. It's like, there's so much information we could put in here, like even in one park, there's like I said, rental forms, hours, like so much information. So that is another possibility where we can kind of rely on that app as well to do the nitty gritty of it's like each amenity at each park with like the rental forms, and then just have this be an over. So it's like, it's really just a matter of how we
Does
want
Parks
to.
and
I'd be
Rec have that
careful
stuff
for you
all-
to, yeah, not duplicate what Parks and Rec has on their site. So just be careful, either put it on ours or to the link. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
crazy to have, and then
Right.
you'd have to pass that information on to Parks and Rec anyways, and there might be conflict, so. I'm sure that stuff is online, I think, on their website, so.
Yeah, I did their website on, it's just very, oh, I thought that this was the ring.
I would think just links over would be
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, I think links.
Yeah, like why reinvent the wheel?
Exactly.
Yep, and luckily, since you did their website, you kind of have it all at your hands, so.
Yeah, I don't even where it is, but either way, their thing is very basic. It's just the address in the park and then a couple bullets on like what they have there, but it's mainly in our stuff in GIS.
Well, who knows, maybe eventually this could be an important part of their
Mhm.
their page. Maybe could be a joint venture, but I mean, I think from our perspective, right, we really want to promote what we have for open space, where people can go and appreciate it. And also, I mean, I think the deeper appreciation of open space gives me the sense that people will protect it if they know about it. And that's what I'm sort of thinking a lot about, town-owned open space. So it is amazing. I'm so cool. Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Perfect. Yep, thanks for coming.
Can I say, I mean, this is,
Yeah.
this is wonderful. I think this is what needs to be to the public, but there are other town-owned spaces designated as open space, which really don't have, the public shouldn't be there, like the
Yeah.
place off of, Kiss Lane, Culver Street, and whatever. So when you were doing your inventory, do you have also an inventory of the other spaces, so that, not for publication to the public, because we don't want them, but we don't want to
Correct.
keep track.
That was the other,
The
where I
second
mentioned this,
piece.
and then there was like the data, that's where
That's
we're
okay.
analyzing all the parcels that are designated
Gotcha.
open space.
Okay.
But this was strictly for places that the public can go to.
You-
Yep.
Great.
And you do have some of it. I don't know if you're ready to, I don't know, again, whether you want to share it in this format or whether you want to share it with the committee as we kind of look through that stuff. But, you have been putting together the layer.
We have
with
a
the
very,
conservation.
very rough kind of list that I printed out, and I'm happy to share with the disclaimer that it's a rough list. And we haven't gotten the chance to like sit down, vet it and look at it deeply yet, but we have a kind of quick overlay,
Have you been busy?
a little.
And then one other thing that we had,
Yep.
you were talking in the beginning about, this is town-owned stuff, but we also keep in the back of our mind nice parcels that are undeveloped that if money ever became available, we would like to purchase. So I know we had that list of spaces within town that were not developed, but not town-owned.
Mm.
Did you, just to make sure that you could keep that inventory?
Mhm.
So if we ever had the money to be able to purchase it, but
And I think that's something that's down the line after because I think as noted, it's very important to publicize and to make celebration of what Newington has. From there on, I think there are ways and there are tools. There's analysis tools that you can do. And I think the main part is going to be providing weight to some of those different criteria. And what are is connection the most important? Is environmental resources the most important? Because once you provide weight to that, you can do an analysis of the land, and it will kind of very easily, relatively easy, I can never say very easy when it comes to GIS or IT, but you can identify parcels to that, especially if you have that weighted analysis. So I think what we were thinking is the process is celebrate, do that research, know what we have, and then the third part of that is to identify, is to run the analysis, and then sit with the committee and saying what is the weight to all those, and then bringing that to the next step.
Yeah, I think determining the criteria and what we're looking at is going to be very important. Because, through your research,
Yeah.
you found a lot of parcels that were undeveloped, underdeveloped and such, but were isolated by residents, right? Like they're surrounded by homes. So is that something we want to focus on, or does your energy want to be focused on parcels that are next to adjoining open space that we could start connecting things? So thinking about or are we just, do we want to also throw something in there about protecting species or, resources? Is that a large focus? Where do we want to put that? And then, of course, I'll give it to Monique and she can run her GIS stuff and we can figure out what we're really looking at. Because right now it's really just a spreadsheet with a bunch of addresses that will mean something to you, but there's not a lot of context to it, right?
Yeah.
And again, we're talking about town-owned parcels now.
Well, this would be, this is the next step
Oh,
further
the wish
to
list of
the wish list of vacant parcels.
yeah, okay.
Which there are many. There really aren't
No,
many.
there aren't many. So just back to the town-owned parcels, and what we're gonna try to get together for understanding. Would it be possible, or are you already planning on looking at whether there's any easements or anything attached to those parcels? So that anytime somebody has a question?
Yes, that is something we're looking at.
Okay,
Again, we have to kind of sift through sometimes, find the easements, find things and backtrack, but that is something, I think the first step was compiling the list of what
Yeah.
we're looking at and then going back at every parcel and seeing
Yeah.
how are we defining it and where is it written?
yeah,
And some of that work has, some work has already been done. You can see easements on our GIS right now. There is a layer. And I think it's going to be that doing that research and then completely filling out that layer after they go through, look at these different parcels, talk to you about them, here's the restrictions, because there's multiple different restrictions. There's restrictions you made with the DEP. Then there's restrictions on a developer's land where they have agreed as part of a open space subdivision like Rockpool, for example. That has a conservation easement off the back of it, but that is not an easement for public access per se. It's right in people's kind of backyard. Some of it goes over people's independent property. Like they'll have an area of their property that they can't build into,
Really?
but it's still technically on their property. And then we have some of that actually is town property behind that. So you'll find that on different parcels.
Wow.
So again, I think that's the layer of knowing what and, creating those different categories of public open space, but also easements is a town interior layer that's again over every individual owner's property, or is it something, again, it's useful, for example, when Eric or Charlie, when someone comes in and says, I want to build a shed. Yes, we look at that. If we see an easement on that, we're like, okay, we got to talk to you about that. Or they want to build a fence, or they want to kind of go into that area of their yard and we go, wait, there's a conservation easement, we need to talk. But it's also good for a property owner too.
Yeah.
If they see their own property on GIS and goes, what's this triangle over my backyard? Well,
How
that was.
often does that happen?
It happens every now and then. It hasn't happened that often, but we have some older conservation easements that are good for us to know what's out there for the old developments, and the new developments have some specifically. Again, Rockhole is the biggest one I can point to
Yep.
because it does specifically go over, I think, 3 people's backyards where they have to put in signs that say conservation easement from this point.
what is it, how did that come to be, do you know the history?
That was through TPZ open space subdivision approval. It's part of that
When they
process.
got approved to
Yeah.
develop.
Yeah.
And then an owner would know when they're buying this piece of property that this can never be.
Yeah, and then again, they should see it in their deeds. It should be transferred that way. But the fact that that is filed on the land records, that conservation easement is filed, so that should be picked up in any new deed that's written in any title search that sees it. But also if it's there on the GIS, it's also another tool. It's
Right.
another tool for town too, because, you know, when we're looking for a shed permit, you know, we don't do a deed search on
Right,
every,
right.
on every shed or a fence. And actually, you don't need a permit for like a small fence and things. So it's not like we would even see that. So an owner having that at their fingertips is not a bad
Yeah.
thing either.
And the MDC has also like right of way type.
Mhm.
easement.
Yep,
I know
and
they're
we
in
have
line
drainage
for it.
easements and we have a lot of those that are shown. And I think it's just making sure that our list is complete
Yeah,
on that. And that's what they're working on now.
amazing.
What about that land, I was there this weekend, along Brookside Road? It's not a town park, but everybody uses it as a trail,
Talking about across from those apartments that we're talking about?
because I know it's an MDC thing, but there's a nice little brook and then there's a path along it. It goes to the Elmwood Post Office. Is that town property?
I don't know where you're.
Yeah, I
talking
think
about.
that's,
know what
that's
you're
in the
talking
Piper Brook Army
Yeah, yeah,
Corps,
yeah.
the project they did up there. We can look at it. I'm not sure.
Off Willard?
Some of that state property actually up
Oh,
there,
okay.
I believe. I think some is ours.
Okay.
But yeah. Let's see. But yeah, that's Piper Brook. So let's see.
I know there's some homes there, but there's some MDC signs, restrictions, but then people walk their dogs along that path.
Yeah, and then some of it is, actually, some of it's state, some of it is private property owners. I can actually, why not just take over the share? Yep, so this is the area you're talking about. We have Brookside Road.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have like, that's a Connecticut parcel, that's owned by an individual. And you see this individual owns part of the brook. These individuals own this part of the brook. So it's kind of like, it's a mix of ownership. This should be state right here, actually in CLNP. So you have Connecticut Line Power who owns part of it.
We don't own any of it, the town.
I think, we don't have much, I think, actually in this area. We might have something.
That's so
And
neat
then
to
of
be-
course you have the condo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate when it does that. You have the condo there who owns, again, a decent part of the brook.
Wow.
It kind of goes through there. So a lot of this is in private ownership. And that's actually the same, issue you had when the town engineer does the work with DEP and they do the walkthroughs of this area because of the Army Corps project and things to be cleaned out. It's like, we don't own the land. So it's a lot of this, cooperation that has to happen.
The corner of Brookside and Maine, did you click on that parcel? I might have missed when you. Yeah,
This one right
okay.
here? Yeah, this is state.
Okay.
So the state at least owns the introductory one, parcel in there. So yeah, I think this is another area where people use where maybe there could be something in the future to formalize it.
If the state could even, give it to us or something.
Yeah, or again, it's the state, Connecticut Light and Power, working with those individual property owners. It's a large process. I think that would be like a future official trail project with DEP because it requires rights of way, requires acquisition or easements over people's property and that,
But Charlie's got nothing to do, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Dedicated to you.
But it's kind of, all the different parcels that are, regardless of whether we own them or not, but looking into stuff like that, so if an
Sure.
opportunity does become available.
Mhm.
But this is where also like, for you guys, like a working session might be useful too, where we just come together and we sit with the GIS open and we say, there's this place where I walk my dog all the time. What is that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's owned by the state. Let's add it to the list of things that we're interested in. Or, oh, that is owned by the town, but we're not using it. How can we use it now? How can we connect it somewhere else? So a working session like that might be useful too, to digest the things that are beyond the list that like Monique has given to me and we're gonna look at. But there might be things that we're not seeing.
Great.
Super. Yeah. All right, do we have any more to this discussion? If not, we would move on to old business.
Yep, so there is no old business. We kind of replace the priorities and future work discussion with this.
Right.
And I think that kind of leads to I think I think the work session is actually a great idea
Mhm.
to, you know, because this will show up as old business on that. And I think that's something that the, you know, committee could talk about and say, okay, yep, if you guys all can kind of figure out a time to work on it, that would be coming together, of course. If Monique, if you were willing to sacrifice some more time, but I think you're doing a fantastic job with all this stuff for the town. So I think there's a really good opportunity to do something that's actually going to get this out in front of people. And at the end of the day, as I'm looking at more and more things, basically we have a town app by once everything is done, which is a big undertaking in itself, but yeah, I think by the time you have a lot of these, you're gonna have a lot of different ways for the community to interact with what government has to offer.
Which is great. It really is.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, so
So no old business per se, public comments.
there are no attendees online.
I have a
Okay.
comment. I have a question.
Okay.
What is the status of the situation regarding remediation or action on top of Cedar Mountain?
So I do not know. I have not been involved. Again, we'll move to committee member comments because that'd be a good place to discuss this. So yep, currently, I have not been part of any discussions one way or another, about what, you know, moving forward.
Yeah.
I think Jonathan updated us on our
No,
last,
they said it was, they were gonna contact legal. I mean, you know.
but I think that's where it's at. They were waiting to find out.
Again, contact
That
legal
was,
again.
yeah,
Because they
again,
contacted legal before. Now they're gonna contact legal again.
I mean, the thing is, you know, it's been a couple weeks, so I mean, it shouldn't take this long.
Well, maybe we should reach out to him and find out, like.
Well,
where it's-
that's why I was just asking.
Yep, yeah, and then he'll be back, next week.
You know, let's call him up when he's back. Because, you know, in talking to him, there was a sort of well, let's not do anything because it would be a bad idea. But are we sure it's a bad idea? Would Deep say it's a bad idea?
Well, that's what I think we need.
Right.
We need to
So,
find out.
right. Just that way, it's just clear. Like what they think.
Right.
Think about it anymore.
Because it's, you know, residents outside of this committee have commented on it, and I think they wrote an answer as well.
Yep, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Any committee members have any other comments? No?
No, good. Just back to that, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, yeah,
no,
of
no,
course, Gail, I'm sorry, I didn't know you weren't done.
Simply because, I'm sorry, I just have this history of sometimes asking questions or whatever, not getting a response. Could that be reflected in the minutes? That it was brought up by the open space committee?
Yeah.
what the Status is of.
Yep, I'm sure when Jan listens along, because Jan does help from my office, write these minutes as well, and then they get reviewed, so yeah.
Thank you.
It's worthwhile adding them to the minutes. Do you have any comments? Member Gonzalez? No. Okay, I don't have any additional comments. I think that this was a really important discussion and a really great thing for the town. So I think we're something that's gonna be very, useful, and I think bring awareness. You know, I'm here 18 years. I don't know half the stuff that this town has, so I'm sure there's a lot of people who really are in the same boat, you know? So if there's no more comments or questions or discussion, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All set. Thank you very much.